So, yeah, make yourself awake and supported. You want to feel supported. Your body is at ease. Kind of, you get to relax. You just get to meditate. Oh, it's so nice. Yeah, just feeling your body. You know, body being this word for this kind of amazing experience that you experience is changing, that you can tune into, settling into that sense of receiving, calming, letting it just kind of be at ease. You can really, it helps you can tune into a bit to enjoying your experience. Of course, you're not kind of grasp after some enjoyment, but just that, yeah, there's some pleasantness to it. This body, this experience, being embodied. You can start with a wider attention, whole body sitting. What does that feel like energetically? The very enjoyable in and out of the breath. It's quite amazing. Tuning in as we go with, yeah, this kind of expansion and uh, relaxing of your chest, your abdomen, getting the whole experience of the breath. There'll be thoughts and mental impressions coming in. That's just has to be that way if it's happening, in the sense that we've been using our minds. And so we can now just kind of let that all come to an end. Just being in the breath. Just that's and touching a bit, if you can, might happen naturally, with the sense of stillness. Breath is happening, thoughts are coming and going. Still can be brightness in the mind, some light. Letting it all go. Breath is wonderful because you can keep coming back to it. Mind can shoot off here and there. You just come back to the breath. Very simple, refreshing, very, yeah, it's kind of nice experience. Nothing complicated. You can just bring in a very quiet perception, of noticing things ending. And if something ends, it can't be you, it can't be yours. There's no self in it. It's gone. Something new is arising. Not so. as we get ready to end, just notice if anything has arisen new in your experience. Mind state, maybe. Anything really. Different feeling in the body, or you just feel a little clearer, or maybe you feel grumpy. And just notice that that began. Wasn't there when you started. It started at some point. So it wasn't there and then it started. So if it wasn't there and it started, then it can't be you. Just let that kind of, just stay in that reflection. Just let that in. It wasn't always there. And how quickly will it be gone? And we can finish there.
Mira will request the Dhamma talk now.
Rama Chaloka Dipati Sahampati Katanjali Anadivaramaya Chata Santi Dasata Paraja Kajatika dese tu dhammam anukampi mam pajam.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sangham sa. Okay. Well, welcome everyone again. Um, yeah, I'm quite delighted to be here actually. It's kind of energizing and yeah, delightful to kind of be here with you via Zoom. Yeah, I did. I thought just to Vivian gave such a nice introduction, and I guess I just point out I did. I took seminary ordination in India. I was very fortunate, and then full ordination at Tisarana. Um, so I am Canadian born bhikkhu, so to speak, and I did think I can also take an opportunity to. I had some very wonderful teachers as a layman, such as someone in this virtual room, Molly Swan. So I'm very lucky. Yeah, I just you can only say so much on those little blurbs. And Molly and Norman were my my first teachers, and I'm always very, very grateful to them for that. Just and as I told Molly years ago, even just the fact that there were people who, being with people who didn't think you were nuts for being interested in this and who could talk about it, right? And that is as you can't say too much about that, just the Kalyanamitta, having people to relate to and to be reminded by and encouraged by and work kind of practice alongside with and be inspired by and so I'm very grateful. So thank you, Molly. So you can thank Norman too. I don't wherever he is. Um, yeah. And another reason why it's so wonderful that you guys all get together, even via Zoom, right? I know for me that's always very important as a layman, um, just to have that weekly or bi-weekly sometimes reminder. Just it's very, very helpful. And okay, hold on, gotta make sure I can still think. I got COVID brain. It's so important. And as a monk, of course, I get a smorgasbord every day. You get so many reminders, It's great. It's very good, especially if you use them skillfully, and same as a layperson, if you can use them skillfully. I can't say probably too much about that, but the Kalyanamitta and mutual support. I wanted to talk about some other things too, but that is so helpful. Um, and it's also good with other people because it makes you, you talk about the practice and maybe really take stock of. It's nice to get to as people, but have we learned anything? Right? Of course we have. Um, but what have we learned? What works? And that's probably a theme that I'm really working with now, and maybe can reflect a bit with you all on, is yeah, that we can really see what works, what has worked. Because I think a lot of people here have been practicing for quite a long time, some form or another, interested or practicing, and um, it's good to reflect. Okay, what actually is um, what has brought what the Buddha talks about? Um, yeah, happiness, ease, stability, lack of fear, sanity to whatever extent. Um, and I think we probably have all had, we're doing this still. So unless we're running on faith, which is fine, but it's good to have something, your faith be transformed into verified evidence, verification, something that really helps you. And I've been thinking and kind of, um, yeah, just for me and my practice, non-self is really, 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 really helpful when I employ it, because it's a tool, right? It's a reflection. It's something we learn, and COVID's a nice way to relearn it. And sickness, because um, we're all aging, even though my hair may not be as gray as some people. And I mean, we're all aging and it can't be stopped. And even at my age, I think, oh, what if I am stuck in a bed for like, a significant amount of time, right? Either through sickness or age, there's a lot of pain. What if, and COVID's kind of not there right now. Um, and ooh, yeah, that's a little freaky. What are you gonna, what does one do? And that's kind of that's a invigorating question. And but also, what makes me just what really that kind of yeah, what works? And yeah, non-self just and for me, non-self is so connected with non-permanence. Let's put it that way. Non-permanence. They're like, it's the same. It's all the three characteristics. So all kind of three sides of the same coin, let's say. But things are, and I think it's important to note that things aren't. It's not impermanence. I wonder if it isn't so much just about things ending. It's also just as much about things beginning. Non-permanence. How does something non-permanent? Well, if it begins, it wasn't permanent. If it ends, it's not permanent. So if something begins, it wasn't there. If it wasn't there, it's not who you are. If it ends, it's ended. It used to be there, now it's not. And I think it's worth reflecting like this. Because it gives the mind a habit to notice this. And you can reflect like this and then apply it in a kind of, it's maybe not the most striking way, just in your daily life. You can use it. It works great. But if you can get that habit going, then in your meditation, and this is where, when the mind centers and you can see it, it can be quite a, it can just blow you. It really can just wow you beyond really anything you would expect. And I think it's so wonderful. I remember someone I very much care about in my life. Always when I was early into this, I think said something. They were trying to figure it out because I was really getting into Buddhism and said something that kind of querying me about, well, is there forgiveness in Buddhism? And I think the way they present it is, well, if there's no self, there's nothing to forgive. It's kind of like, well, there's no self, so there's no forgiveness in Buddhism, which they thought was quite lacking. And what I thought was pretty neat was that no, it's like that's exactly why we can forgive, because there's no self, right? Even that aphorism, it's not what you say, it's what you do. It's like, no, you're not even what you do, which is kind of fascinating, and it's very freeing. And I think that's quite an interesting thing that maybe gets underplayed is that, but if you think about it, right, like if you can't forgive basically everything you've ever done ever, how can you free the heart? But if everything you've ever done ever is gone right now, and it's gone. And I mean, that's amazing. Now, I think we also have to acknowledge that, yeah, depending on how deep our whatever is, it might not, we're not there yet, or we might be, but you can't just get that realization through thinking about it, although thinking about it helps, is reflection, but that the practice can really give you that, this kind of tremendous relief. And I think that's also something that I think it's in there, but that you could translate freedom, right? Total liberation as total relief. You're just completely relief. That's relief beyond anything you've ever thought possible. Just, oh, like just, freedom, because, freedom from guilt, freedom from any self disparagement, because there's no self to disparage. And I have to admit, I haven't really, we're still a work in progress in so many ways, but you can get a taste of this, right? You can see that these implications are there. They really are. And it also lets the weight off, because I think when you start paying attention to life and you see, for example, some of your, you see some of your good habits, well, you can be very grateful for them. Um, but also your bad habits, and you see, so much pain and confusion, and I mean, even just in our own life, you don't have to go to the news. You can see uh, wisdom is not easy. Wisdom is kind of tricky, and it's easy to be it's easy to make a lot of mistakes in the world, and we're not born geniuses, and we're kind of fumbling along in some ways. We all come with our strengths and our weaknesses, but not so much fumbling, but like it's kind of like yeah, you have to learn how to see seeing non-self is so helpful, because it's very humbling when you see that your wisdom can't always keep up, right? We do get swamped sometimes with various defilements, right? The hindrances that the Buddha talks about. They're real, and they do cloud our minds, and then they get acted upon, and so the non-self bit is kind of it's like, well, one, you can kind of forgive yourself. Oh, well, I didn't see that one coming. Jeez. And it's kind of neat because then it also kind of wow, like wisdom is a really rare thing. This is especially really, really high wisdom and people who are very developed in their mind and body and kindness and like that is a real skill. That is wow, like good for them. That is amazing because yeah, these things they arise based on conditions. You don't necessarily just get them given to you. And this kind of seeing a non-self is so instructive because one, you get that kind of relief of, oh gosh, well, thank God I'm not those whatever has been done came about through conditions. And it motivating, right? Wow, well then whatever is going to come will come about through these conditions. And and all those wonderful things that have been part of my life, which those have come about through conditions, and they can that can happen again. And it's worth putting in effort. And so the whole it's a big it's a big thing, but um, just to learn that kind of seeing the arising and passing and non-self in one's experience, noticing that gives you such an insight into how the path is, how freedom can come about, both because you can get a little, you can get, well, big tastes and little tastes, lots of tastes throughout your day. And you can maybe get a sense of where this might be headed. And also that there's, if you gorge on ice cream, it'll be fun for a while. But some things will happen. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe you've got that great of a digestion, in which case, enjoy, right? But if for whatever reason you have to just have a couple scoops, then maybe learn, that's good. Stick with a couple scoops or get the lactose free. Wisdom is very helpful. It sees things. And yeah, it's obviously all the teachings connect in some way. And I just find that yeah, using that as a practice, noticing beginnings and endings and cultivating this sense of not self, that it's really quite amazing. And especially for our culture where people seem to have so much anxiety and well, yeah, regret, guilt, it really undermines it. It's really great because then it's like, wow, oh, those things happened, and oh, I guess I wish I would have known better. I didn't. Okay, isn't that? Oh, I'll put in some effort, or I'll try something new. You can really drop the past can just drop, and we also don't have to get stuck on. In one way, it helps you instead of kind of pining over good things. You think, oh, that was so good, and you can recall. I want to do that again. Why not? These things are so nice. It's so fresh. Things become fresh. There's a freshness to them that it's like you're a kid again if you can really develop it because things are totally new. Each moment is completely never been done. You've never felt your body sitting as it is right now ever. You have a unique experience occurring right now. It's never been like this and it never will again. And you've never heard a sound before in a way. This is the first time you've ever heard a sound or seen a sight. Because what happened before has ended completely, and you have a complete new, fresh. Everything is completely fresh. I remember I was quite inspired by that. This sense. Um, hearing through Dhamma teachers that, that, because some of the teachings can sound kind of, oh, dukkha, stress, non-self, kind of dragging, not very fun, but this sense that, no, 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 it makes things fresh, very fresh, and also challenging. You get to see what challenges you're actually up against. The defilement, they're real, and they don't, they won't go away just because you want them to. You have to actually put up a fight. You gotta learn their ways and yeah, take them on. I mean, it's not you don't have to put your dukes up necessarily, but you might need to give yourself a little pep talk or do a Sunday sit or Friday evening. Commit to doing it to get yourself reminded, or yeah, take up some practice um, and really give yourself to it. Make a change if something isn't helpful. Um, yeah, so yeah, just the whole non-self thing. And if of course, if you ever look at the suttas, the Buddhas, he goes on. He just uh, impermanence, the potential for dukkha, for stress through grasping, dukkha and non-self over and over and over, right? This is uh, straight from at least his second teaching ever. And that was basically the theme. And I think it's just so great. And non-self, I think, is a good one because impermanence can seem depressing, so can dukkha. But the non-self one is a bit of a mystery, so you kind of get to figure it out. And the non-permanent nature of things becomes for me, it's the key to that. But they kind of work together, so you just kind of, if it starts and it ends, no, it can't be me. Oh, what a relief. And you can practice that, and you can employ that perception, that filter. You're giving yourself a perceptual how you receive things, and then you can put them through this. You can strengthen this, and I think it's really helpful in daily life. And yes, try it for yourself, because what you can also find is that if you do it, and especially if you meditate more, you get better. You get better at this kind of this perception. Uh, yeah, and yeah, you can't help but wonder. I mean, if the Buddha, yeah, this must be very important, and it's kind of, I think, very good too for old habits you have that seem unchangeable. You can really apply this, and instead of it being a part of you that this is what I am, and I'm always going to be this way, it becomes, wow, this is really strong habit. It's a very, very, very strong habit. That's what it is. That's all. That's as far as it can go. It's just a very, very, very strong habit. You might have to work at it for a very long time or with a lot of diligence, or maybe you don't know where to go with it, but that's fine. You have a strong habit. You've got, in the Buddhist sense, all the time in the world, especially if if you think about what could come after. they call it, the blinds go down and the curtains are drawn. So it's just a very strong habit, so that you can develop new habits and you can try and understand it. Uh, and look for people who can help you understand it, teachings. So even just that beginning stage, it's very helpful perspective. Yeah, so I think that's kind of part of it. It's both seeing that. I think maybe that gets lost with impermanence. It's not just about endings. It's about beginnings are just maybe just as pertinent, but certainly, yeah, they can be very pertinent. If you see it begin, you know it's not you. And it might not be a coincidence then that the stream entry isn't someone who sees that things end. It sees that one that sees that all things that begin end, beginning and ending, discrete things, not self, not totally, just not. They just it's just like a tree's not a rock, just can't be. So I might just I'm kind of maybe I've started babbling. Not that badly, but it is kind of neat. I have to say, being sick is kind of nice because your mind is in a different place, so you can I can get away with just speaking my mind, and you can blame it on my COVID. So so I think yes, I've spoken. Yeah, so maybe we'll do some Q questions and answers.
Sure, is that okay with you,
Yeah,
Bante?
yeah. Maybe, yeah. So that's the end of the talk too. Just make it official.
So, oh, George has a question. So,
Hello.
Hi.
First of all, thank you so much for coming here and sharing your wisdom. You mentioned earlier on the idea of grasping, and to me, that was always a really difficult concept for me to understand. I would really love to hear your opinion. Like, what does it really mean to grasp at an idea or an emotion or some sort of like mental object?
Yeah, that's a great thank. It's George, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Grasp. Um, it's a good one, and I think So here's my cup. So grasping is great. Like uh, I gotta have it. Let's say I gotta pull it. I need it. I got it. Or right. I have to grasp it in both situations, right? So that's grasping, right? But wisely, you might just, as Luang Pu Cha said, well, you pick it up, you put it down. The next thing comes, yeah, you can pick it up. Okay, put it down. Right? So that's kind of how you can relate to, so grasping, right? There's always this kind of push or pull, or, which is really interesting because you can see that grasping relates to aversion just as much, right? You kind of have to, oh, I gotta get that person, I'm gonna get them out of my life. And there's this, you're just obsessed. So, greed and aversion, hatred, both have an obsessive quality about them that you're just holding and you're squeezing. So push and pull. For me, that's been a helpful one is if you get a sense in your mind that you have to tune in a bit, right? But it's a visceral thing, obviously, right? This isn't, and that's, I think, the key is that you can't ever really grasp it as a concept, huh? you can't grasp it as a concept, you have to experience it. So grasping as this, in that way, this kind of pulling or pushing. Is that, yeah, that's good, George? Great.
Okay, Gabrielle has a question, so I'll just ask her to unmute. Go ahead, Gabrielle.
Okay, am I coming through?
Yep.
Yes, okay, thank you. Thank you for that teaching, Bente. And congratulations to everyone in the Zoom room and at Tisarna for pulling off probably a marvelous Katina ceremony on Sunday. I wish I could have been there, but I was able to do a lovely one here at Avahara. But my question relates more to if you have any reflections as project manager before you were in robes and after being in robes, what you noticed in how you approached a project like that, given the Dhamma and the teachings, and if you have any examples, if you have any reflections. I'm curious because you just can't go around bossing people
Yeah.
anymore. So anyway, thank you.
Yeah. Well, sorry, what's your name again? Gabriel?
Gabrielle?
Gabrielle. Okay. Thank you, Gabrielle. Yeah, no, it's a very, yeah, thank you for the question. It's a good one. Yeah, I think I have to be honest that, well, one is that I never did this kind of work pre being a monk. I did do some work as a carpenter, but you're in a different, it's much different kind of thing. More, obviously the hand skills and that craft. And then, I guess, I mean, and then as a monk, you, being a monk is a great way, especially in the West, you can really learn a lot of skills, which has some benefits and, yeah, and I did some smaller projects before the Dhamma Hall, renovating some kuti, some of their cabins, and but I did, yeah, it's kind of get thrown in the deep end, I'd have to say. And someone asked me like, where's the I think someone asked me it that way, where's the unconditioned in this work, right? In me being a project manager. For my own perspective, as far as my wisdom has been able to tell, is there is none. It's quite worldly in a way, right? The unconditioned, I guess. Well, I don't know enough. Certainly, what the practice was hugely relevant for doing that, and I have to say it was a lot of. I think as a monk, you start to understand, or I have at least, that one's personality and one's level of realization in the Dhamma are quite different in a kind of pretty solid way. It's, just, and you might see where I'm going, like, if your personality is to be, let's say, I'll try and not make it relate to this so much. If your personality is to be kind of, oh, laissez-faire, and you don't really, let's say you've never built anything, and yeah, you just kind of, you're more bookish, let's say, you're scholarly type, and someone asks you to project manage a building, you might not do a good job, even if you're very wise. In terms of like, you might not have many super management capacities. Now, if you're very wise, you might have a better idea of how to develop them, or you might play to your strength, right? Maybe let's say you're a very wise, bookish person who's obviously then quite kind. Wisdom and kindness are quite related. Your kindness could carry you quite far, but you might not have a good sense of design, right? Or I think I'm trying to explain that being the project manager was really, certainly Dhamma practice was involved in terms of I had to learn how to use my personality to skillfully, as skillfully as I could, to especially the project manager, learning what I need to get myself involved in, what I kind of need to get myself involved in, or what I don't need to get myself involved in, right? What's skillful and when, and so so I guess that's it for me. Like I didn't, it was very instructive, and I've learned a lot. I also learned that yeah, too much worldly engagement. You know, you could get, I could get improved. Like I've improved a lot in terms of what I know about lighting and choosing colors and to whatever extent I have, you know, motivating others, um, when not, what to say when and when not to say things, and what to, uh, uh, but it's not the same, you know, one's mind can get bogged down by that, so that we can get weaker, right? So, you know, obviously someone who's someone who's done, you could be a great project manager and still not have much clue about Dhamma, right? Although, if you've really dedicated yourself to project management, you've probably learned some good skills that one could hopefully have rebounded into one's personal life, right? In terms of being kind and keeping one's mind sharp, and yeah, these kinds of things. So it was an interesting experience. Also a good experience in forgiveness, because you make mistakes. You don't know what you don't know, and you don't know it until sometimes until it's too late, and then and other people make mistakes, and and that's my mind might be a little too critical, is like you learn to appreciate people's skills. They're really good, and people are quite skilled, and they do learn a lot, and they are quite good at what they do, and sometimes you don't even notice what they know until later you realize how good a job they did at something. You know, like even just putting a door into a wall properly. You know, not everyone can do that, and even if you watch a YouTube video, DIY door installation, you're not necessarily going to know how to do it. And a professional will. A professional carpenter is a real professional. They have a whole bunch of skills they've learned over years of, um, and yeah, you really see like the Dhamma hall, this new hall we have is I tried to list everyone involved at the Katina. You know, it was like 20 different kinds of roles: carpenters, masons, electrical engineer, plumbing engineers, sound technicians, finishers, painters, backhoe operators, you know, I think I said electrical engineers, structural engineers, uh, timber framers, roofers. Yeah, and you know, the list is a long list, and you see just how to do anything, that probably has hit me quite a bit, in that to do something quite large like this Dhamma hall, There is no team of one. There's, and it's a team. It's a big team effort, and also just seeing how like tradespeople. I was quite instructive how building something. I don't know. It seems that in our world, so much of what people do now, and it's very skilled too, is more in. It's like writing and communicating and tech, but when you build something, if you cut something like that, it's cut. It's real, and
Yeah.
they have to develop a sense of practicality, and it's this both amazing thing of skill and practicality. You can want the light to look a certain way, but it won't unless it's the right light, or you have to learn how to accept what you have. You just have to. That was a big one for me, was just learning when to just kind of, okay, good enough, or we don't know exactly how that's going to look. You just do it and see what happens. So that's been for me a wonderful learning for wisdom, in that you can try stuff. You do your best and you try stuff. And I think that was very instructive because, yeah, buildings, they're not ideas, they're real. And you really can't fix the piping once the foundation is poured. And if the piping's in the, so you really have to accept things as they are, so, and just soldier on. And that said, because it's interesting, now that the building's done, so many of the complaints I had about it are gone. It's like, well, it's just a great building. As a whole, it's wonderful. I can point out 1,000 mistakes, but as a whole, it's just amazing. So that was a great lesson for me to kind of finish on, is that, and how wonderful our workers were. But because it is an amazing building, we can get caught up on all kinds of kind of silly things, but yeah, appreciating what one has been able to accomplish, I think, is very useful. And yeah, it's nice. I mean, it's got 4 walls and a roof, and it's warm. That's pretty great. It's a great place to sit. I mean, it's very beautiful, actually. I think all of us are astounded that I think parts of it, especially just being inside the space, is kind of. I didn't actually think it would be that beautiful. I have to be honest. It's quite a space. And I don't think I'm just saying that because actually at this point it feels like I don't know who created it.
Mm.
I didn't have that in my mind. We just kept trying to do the best job we could at each stage. It's quite amazing to see what came about. So that's my long answer.
Yeah, Sadhu. I just want to share, when I was working in schools in kindergarten classes, the teachers would say to the children, "You get what you get, and you don't get upset." And it's a pretty
Oh,
good
nice.
rule of thumb for life. Thank you.
Sadhu. Yeah, well said.
Okay, do you have time for one more question,
Yeah, maybe one more.
Helen?
Yeah, yes. I have a question about the grasping. So it's happening, all day long, wanting and not wanting, aversion and desire. Do you just watch it?
No, I mean, okay, good question. No, your job is really to learn how to let go. If grasping is to grasp, to 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 not to to not grasp, and so it takes some. It takes. No, I mean, if you look at the teachings, some of your grasping will cease just by seeing it, right? Just noticing the grasping. and feeling it's tough to grasp. It's kind of painful. It can fall away, but it's just some of the stuff. Some of the stuff, sometimes like well, like let's say aversion, right? That kind of grasping. That's a nice one because in a way, just that you practice metta, right? You actually see, I need to bring in something else here. And it might take a bit of work. Okay, let's practice metta. And to create a momentum in the mind of kindness. Because just as grasping is something you don't know you're doing, or it's happening, it's a habit. So we don't want to have to spend the rest of our lives on or trying to see every little bit of grasping and take, just put in something else that's not grasping. So you cultivate metta and it develops a momentum in its own so that you don't have to do it. Right? You practice these habits so that they have their own life. Um, and then sometimes with greed, so you've got aversion and greed. Sometimes with greed, it's really kind of depends on the person because we'll have different. It'll come up in different things in our lives, but you might have to oppose it. You might have to really start maybe in small ways, but just you know, if you're eating a box of Oreos every day, I know no one is, but I like to. You have to. Oh, this isn't helpful. I have to. Okay, tomorrow, just half a box, or you try that, or maybe no Oreos tomorrow, right? And yeah, you have to see, and if you're honest with yourself, you can see where your particular where you have greed and aversion, and you may have to. And what else you might find is you might need some help, right? Sometimes our habits are so strong that at first we may need some help. So the help could be guided meditations. The help could be um, like computer. The help could be uh, turning off your computer, literally shutting it down, closing it, and putting it in a different room. Saying, I'm not after 4 p.m., no computer, right? And then also not giving up when one inevitably, generally, will go and grab the computer at 7, think, oh, there's that thing I want to do, and then getting lost, right? And failing, and then not giving up just because one failed, seeing, okay, well, so what, why did that happen? Not taking it so personally, just that the habit is so strong. It could take a while, so you might succeed and fail for a bit. And you'll just have to notice if there's momentum and you might have to change stuff in terms of making it better, getting better at it. And or even something I felt particularly helpful in greed is even if you do get lost, like let's say you find yourself halfway through the box of Oreos, just take 10 seconds, just acknowledge, I'm halfway through the box of Oreos again. Because sometimes, because you're not putting yourself under so much pressure to never eat Oreos, you're just acknowledging it. But you're actually stopped. And then sometimes you actually might see some space in there to, oh, what if I just stop now? It can seem radical, it can be kind of scary, but you realize you have actually just stopped. Well, okay. And then maybe you might eat 4 more and then, oh no, I'll stop again. Oh, I actually stopped again. Okay, what if I just put these back in the cupboard? Let's try it. put it back in the cupboard, and you walk up and you see what happens. And someday, and you find that you don't go back. The next day you might go back, but you've seen at least once you didn't, right? And you start to break it up. You start to break up. You see there are gaps. You see this thing is conditioned. It's not you. It's not invincible. It could be very strong, but it's not invincible. And then you can work with it that way. So yeah, so grasping, that's the thing. Grasping is very deep, and non-self can help you really not take it personally, and it can become a little more fun. It's not the end of the world that you ate a box of Oreos, but wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to eat a box of Oreos every day? So you get to develop this freedom and this kind of and you start to take it both fun, but also you take it more seriously because you see that it might require some really strong dedication to get through it. And that can be kind of fun too. Well, let's see what it's like to be very dedicated and to really put up really try. Let's really try this. And maybe also that you don't know exactly how to overcome it yet, but you're willing to give it, you really want to give it a try and keep trying. And non-self helps you forgive all the failures and shortcomings because and you can celebrate what you tried. You're really trying. You have made progress, even if it was just 10 seconds. So yeah, that whole thing, just that, yeah, grasping it's something you don't even know you're doing, but also non-self helps free you from it, the need, and also from feeling that you can't overcome it. So I hope that's helpful. Yeah, this is
Yeah, that is very helpful. But I was thinking about the aversion I have to anxiety when it comes up. And I feel like um because I want the anxiety to be gone, I just kind of have to let the anxiety just run through and watch it and just relax with the anxiety.
so I missed the first part of that. You say that
Um
again?
well, I was thinking about the version I have when I have anxiety. I
Uh,
don't want to have the anxiety, but I found that trying to let go just creates more aversion. So I just kind of watch the anxiety until it passes through.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, that could, and it passes away.
Yeah, eventually it, might take 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems I mean that seems effective, and be interesting to see if it gets weaker over time with that.
Yeah, I hope so. It might come back. It happens in the middle of the night a lot, if I wake up.
Okay.
And then, it's not, I feel like I've, relaxed and I've let it go. And then 10 minutes later, it pops back in. And then
Yeah.
I just kind of relax, like, okay, I'm not getting back to sleep. This is time just to meditate. And, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that sounds like there's some elements of you're learning how to just non-grasping, and I would do just a plug in general. I mean, it's never bad, but maybe I'll finish with this: is that uh, metta practice, right? Uh, is a great one to do just before you go to sleep, because the Buddha was so clear, and he just said, one of the benefits of metta practice is that when you go to sleep easily and you wake up well. So this is really cool. If you just try that one for 2 weeks, you do it consistently before you go to sleep. It can be quite magical in terms of how it can help. And
Thanks.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank
chamomile
you.
tea as well. Do them both.
What was the second one?
Chamomile tea.
Oh, sure. How long should I do the metaphor? Because I usually meditate, but um,
Yeah.
the whole half hour, 15 minutes, 10 minutes.
Oh yeah. I mean, what even to be honest, I've found that even 10 minutes, a dedicated 10 minutes before you go to sleep, if you just get into a habit, that even that can be quite significant. So yeah, half an hour would be just great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think I have to admit, I think I'm fading pretty good right now. So
Sure.
no, it's been
Yeah.
wonderful. It's so wonderful seeing all your faces. Um, and yeah, I hope some of what I've reflected on might be handy, practical. Uh, so yeah, hope you're all very well. I hope none of you get COVID.
Thank you, Bante. Well, I mean, would you like to skip the chant, the closing
Oh,
chant?
no, I don't. Yeah, we could do a chant. I didn't give you one ahead of time, Vivian. So maybe we can just do the Buddha's words on loving kindness, because that might be something we all sense of.
Sure.
And we can do it in English. Okay. Now let's chant the Buddha's words on loving kindness. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties, and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm, and wise and skillful, not proud and demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove. Wishing in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease, whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another, or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another, even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child. So with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding, by not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world.
So, Bante, on behalf of us all, I'd like to thank you so much for teaching us